The official trailer for The Walking Dead Season 8 has dropped, and once again it's time to get our hopes up for the upcoming new season. I quite enjoyed the trailer footage overall, and after viewing there were a few things that immediately stood out to me, which I'm now going to go through. So without further ado, here are my 5 talking points of The Walking Dead Season 8 trailer. I'm going to start this video off by discussing Negan, seeing as the baseball bat wielding lunatic is the first person who appears in the Season 8 trailer. Although I actually quite enjoyed watching this little snippet of him toying around with poor Father Gabriel, apart from another very brief clip of him bashing Lucille on a table in anger, I don't recall seeing him at all during the rest of the teaser. There have been many reports online that suggest Negan may be absent from the first half of Season 8, which would explain his lack of scenes in this promotional video. Whilst I found Negan to be a bit hit and miss since his introduction, I'll admit I'm a bit worried about the prospect of him going missing during the first half of next season. I feel that without the big bad on screen, it's possible that Season 8 could lack any real direction and purpose until its second half. Of course, on the other hand, it could just be argued that the showrunners simply decided that they didn't want to use too many shots of Mr. Leanback in their latest video, and I may be jumping to conclusions far too quickly. One of my personal favourite aspects of the action-packed 5 or so minutes that we were treated to was finally seeing Daryl back in action. For much of last season, Daryl was reduced to a neutered side character, who spent most of his time either in Negan's cell or in hiding. It wasn't really until the last couple of episodes that we saw him come to life, so it's encouraging then to see Daryl back to doing what he does best, that being blowing shit up and riding his motorcycle. Seeing as Negan now knows that Daryl is still alive, there really is no reason for him to hide or to be cautious anymore, which means we could see him let loose and be a crucial asset in Rick's war against the Saviours. Around the 2 minutes and 7 seconds mark, the camera focuses on Maggie and the members of the Hilltop Colony. One thing that I'm sure most people will notice is that Maggie's baby bump has mysteriously disappeared, meaning that she has either given birth or has unfortunately lost the baby. Now if The Walking Dead had followed the comics and killed off Judith during the prison arc, I'd have absolutely no problem in saying that Maggie's definitely going to give birth to a healthy baby on the show. However, with Judith still being alive and kicking, I have to wonder whether Maggie's baby will have the same fate. I mean, do we really need 2 babies on the show attracting walkers with their moaning and crying? I guess the counter argument to this is as now Rick and Maggie are both settled into communities, raising a kid isn't as difficult or perilous as it was when Rick and co were on the road. I mean, I always thought it was a bit strange that Judith never seemed to attract any walkers by crying before Rick managed to reach Alexandria. However, now raising 2 children doesn't seem to be so unrealistic. In addition, when you think about the fact that Maggie has had every single member of her family die over the course of the show, to be completely honest, I just can't see the showrunners killing her baby as well. So even though I'm not 100% swayed by one way or the other, I'd say it's pretty likely we can expect a newborn child when The Walking Dead returns, which will then enable Maggie to reach her true potential as the Hilltop leader. One of the more confusing aspects of the trailer was witnessing Morgan and Jesus fighting in the woods. I honestly can say that at this moment in time I have no real idea why the pair are coming to blows with one another. The best theory I have is that Morgan has reverted back to his old crazy clear persona that we saw a few years ago. The reason I say this is due to the fact that we briefly saw him revert back to his old ways when he killed Richard during episode 13 last season. Not only did he brutally strangle Richard to death without mercy in front of the shocked Ezekiel, he also referred to the deceased Benjamin as Dwayne, which we all know is the name of his long-time dead son. This incident last season triggered a change in Morgan, which saw him drop his all life is precious approach and resume killing. And whilst there's nothing inherently wrong about killing those who are a threat, Morgan has said himself multiple times that the only thing that brought him back from the brink was his peaceful ideology, and with that now gone, Morgan's mind may have gone as well. I couldn't really do a video about the Season 8 trailer without mentioning the end sequence which most people on the internet are currently going crazy about. Those who haven't read the comics have been quick to assume that this scene is in fact Rick waking up from his coma at the start of the programme, and I can see why there are those who would think this. First off, there is a shot of some flowers beside Rick's bed, which is reminiscent of when Shane brought flowers to his bedside all that time ago. Secondly, the way the scene is shot makes it impossible to really see any of the surrounding area. We only witness a close-up of Rick laying on his pillow, which again resembles him laying on the hospital bed at the start of the series. Lastly, the fact that Rick has aged can be attributed to the fact that he's been in a coma for quite some time. Although I always enjoy hearing theories about Rick still being in a coma, I can categorically say that this is not what this scene is about. To explain this sequence, I'm going to delve into some comic book spoilers, so please skip to the end of the video if you don't want to hear what I'm about to say. Okay, here goes. After the war with Negan ends, the comic skips forward about 2 years. Rick has become crippled due to Negan breaking his leg during their climactic battle, which explains the cane present in the trailer. In addition, Rick decides to adopt a new look due to not wanting to be recognised by those who see him as something of a hero after taking down Negan. And as you can see here, his look in the trailer is nearly exactly the same as he appears in the latter issues of the comics. What this all potentially means is that the war with Negan will be resolved this season, with the time skip most likely coming during the last episode. With the dodgy pacing during the last couple of years of the show, I've been worried concerning how long the showrunners would stretch out the all-out war arc. I really didn't want to see the War of the Saviours go on for longer than it need be. Thankfully, if I am right and it does only last for the next 16 episodes, it should see Season 8 being faster paced than the 2 previous, which can only be a good thing. So there you have it, my 5 talking points from the Walking Dead Season 8 trailer. Please let me know your thoughts below and let me know if there's anything you have noticed that I may have missed. As always, thank you for watching and until next time, goodbye.